Hey, welcome to Hear Us Out. I'm Paul,
And I'm Patrick.
and we're going to be talking about with the box office. Has it gone where it's meant to be? Is it back? Is it on the
Money's
blip?
showing up again. Oh my God, the box office is back. That's what people are shouting. And we've been shouting various things back at them. So it's time for us to shout at everybody and tell them what those things are.
Yeah, so we're going to be talking about some of the movies which have come out this year, some of the movies that have recently come out, which people are saying have revitalized the box office, which is we have we think different opinions, but it might end up being the same because we had like a pre kind of conversation that we may have been giving each other.
It's
Uh,
a tricky thing about trying to not talk about a show before you do a show on a topic. There is a certain amount of what are you about to say the exact same thing or me, or are we going to have a fight live on air? Either way, it's fun.
yeah, it's always interesting because we're always just like, is it is it this, you know? Um, but yeah, which is yeah, so the box office this year. So just to kind of put it in terms, which because we won't like So for the last couple of years, which is so on screen right now is essentially the box office for the last couple of years, going all the way back to 2017. The reason for that is because 2017 to 2019 is kind of where the box office was pre Darkest Timeline, which was, then we had which was the kind of 2022 to or 2020 to now kind of thing as we were in the recovery years of the Darkest Timeline, which is obviously 2020 where everything is shut. We have such a dip, which is and then weirdly enough because everything opens up again a little bit in 2021, we have such a high in percentages, not money, kind of thing. And then we've been in that steady recovery mode, which is ever since. But we are kind of behind in 2024. By this time, we were around the 4 billion mark, kind of thing.
Yeah. And an incredibly slow start. That
Mm.
was the thing. We've done videos on this for the first quarter of the year. So for the first 3 months, even the first 4 months, there was a huge kind of any minute now things are going to pick up. Then all the news stories started coming out, going, "Oh my God, 2024 is going to be the worst year on record. It's a complete box office bust." There was a small cottage industry of doom and gloom sayers out there saying, "That's it, 2024 box office is ruined." Fall Guy comes out, underperforms. Everything that was supposed to start the summer box office season kind of failed a little. Look, not everything, but with the exception of the likes of Doom Part 2, it didn't really fire off the way people were expecting. So in the last kind of month, pretty much the last month, all of a sudden it's been an upward trajectory with unexpected good results and then unexpected brilliant results.
Yeah, just to go on to that kind of the flops that were kind of expected to do better,
Mm.
which was we have like Madam Web was kind of a weird one because it was kind of like so out of the four that I've got currently on screen, Madam Web was the only one that people didn't know how to expect, like what to expect to get from it,
I'll
and it
tell you what
was
I expected. I
like
expected bad. I
yeah,
didn't expect that bad.
yeah, I guess yeah, because we all had kind of like no one asked for this movie, like it's a weird left field kind of one, kind of thing, and then we just got it was just not a great movie. Civil War Civil War I think had a PR. We've talked about this before. It had like a PR problem where I think it was advertised as something else and then kind of like did some another thing, because like if everybody thought it was going to be the American Second Revolution kind of thing, and then it was actually about photojournalism, which with the backdrop of the fictitious kind of Second Civil War. Fall Guys, which is a surprise to me because I went and and I loved it. It is an absolute like it's so funny, it's
It's
so
fun.
good, huh?
It's fun. Like I grew up with like the Fall Guy, the TV show. This movie, nothing really to do with it at all, to be fair. It barely holds the same premise. But you know what? I went in, I watched, I laughed. I lived, I laughed, I loved Paul. and I thought it was a charming little movie. I was so surprised that The Fall Guy did not get traction with people, because these are the movies that people are always saying, why don't they ever make movies like that anymore? Well, they made one. I think we've got an answer to why they don't make movies like that anymore.
Yeah, it has. So the one, not only was it a really fun movie and kind of flopped at the box office, but one of the really cool things that have come out of it is the fact that the Oscars have now decided, or like now questioning if they have like a top stunt Oscar, which will be really cool because I don't know if they were going to bring it into the main, because as some people don't know, there's two Oscars. There's the technical Oscars, and then there's the Oscars that everybody knows. We don't know which one it's going to go into. But Furioso, the Mad Max Saga thing, everybody thought that that was going to do well as well,
Oh yeah.
and it didn't. Like, I went to see it; it was an enjoyable watch. I would much prefer to watch Fall Guys. Um, you know how you were saying that what is it? The Star Wars Rebel what's that? What is it? Rebel 1?
Oh yeah,
Um
yeah.
yeah, you know how that's kind of like a question that no one asked for, a movie that no one asked for, but yet
Yeah,
is
this
all
is an
right.
answer to a question nobody asked, and it was actually quite good in the end.
Yeah,
Rogue
Furioso
One.
is the Rogue One. Yeah, Furioso is the opposite of that question. Is the opposite of it's a thing that no one asked for, and it was answered, but not well. So
I I can't comment on whether or not it was executed well because I was so uninterested I didn't even go and see it. Which for somebody who lives to go to the cinema, that maybe says a lot as to why it wasn't a big hit. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not its target audience, even though I'm absolutely mental about cars and I love practical stunts and practical effects and I like big screen spectacular. So it should be for me. The only problem is I went to see Mad Max Fury Road a few years back and enjoyed it, but have been living in the shadow of everybody saying it's the best film of the 21st century since. And that has annoyed the hell out of me because it is not. It's a good movie. So I was kind of, for all sorts of reasons, I was already pre-done with this, but nobody really convinced me. Nobody changed my mind and said, no, you're going to really regret not seeing this in cinema, or as I did with Fury Road, see it in IMAX. Because I was waiting for somebody to run up and grab me and go, what are you doing? Have you not heard? You're going to have to see it in IMAX. And that just didn't materialize.
and I can tell you now, I saw it on IMAX. It's a spectacle, but not a good story. It's kind of more disappointment of like you know of Mad Max Fury Road without the really cool kind of like set piece. I guess is probably the best way to describe it. But anyway, but now we've hit a weird trifecta of movies that have really pushed the boundaries of what currently was thought that the box office was capable of. And
Hmm.
those movies are, which kind of the one that hit it off is the Bad Boys Ride or Die movie, which is, and then Inside Out 2 just absolutely has blown the doors off. It's the
Yep.
first movie to make a billion this year. Despicable Me has just come out. It's also doing quite well. And A Quiet Place Day One is also doing quite well off the bat. I'm actually going to go see that tomorrow.
Yeah, and Kung Fu Panda is one of the other movies. Kung Fu Panda 4. Kung Fu Panda. Kung
Yeah,
Fu Panda 4 did quite well a couple of months ago, that was, wasn't it?
yeah.
So there's something about family and animated movies, but that Bad Boys Ride or Die, again, I haven't seen it. Um, Bad Boys 4. Like it's the fourth in a series that, let's face it, we all know is not one of the great franchises of all time. I'm not picking on Bad Boys now. I really enjoyed the first movie and was fine with the bits of the second and third, I suppose is the right way to put it. But also, Will Smith isn't exactly on everybody's Christmas card list unless they're looking to get sent a small slap in the face. So I was really taken aback that it was the surprise. Woohoo! Look at the big hit we've had.
Yeah, it is an interesting one to kick it off because the kind of prerequisite ones were very similar. They were actiony type. Furioso and Fall Guys were action movies, action and comedy for the sake of Fall Guys, kind of thing. So it's unusual to see another film kind of come back as an action film and then kind of do really well. It starts the ball rolling on what people have perceived as the recovery of the box office, or the kind of rejuvenation of what people want to do. I think that this isn't so. First of all, I want to say that this is probably the year that we're getting hit by the writer strikes and stuff like that. The writer and
You
actor
get in there
strikes.
before me. You get in
Yes,
there
I
before me.
yeah. So we were always going to be in that blip time zone kind of thing. So like we always had to lower our expectations for this year,
Yeah,
uh, because just that we're catching back up. No, we do not. We're not throwing any shade towards obviously the writers or the actor
okay.
strikes or anything like that. We support them fully, kind of thing. This is the industry's recovery of that event, and we could have recovered a lot faster if
It's a
studios weren't.
natural, it's an natural aftershock as far as timeline goes. When there's a strike, it took two to tango. It was, both sides had to come to an agreement, so it wasn't just people striking and that's the end of it. It was a negotiation between different parties. It was always going to affect 2024. I don't think anybody knew exactly how, and I think it is definitely one of the factors, but I don't know if it's the only one.
No, like I think that this is to me, I think that this is kind of more the studios are slightly out of touch with what we currently want to watch, kind of thing. And I think it's orientated towards kind of like familiarity and kind of more feel good elements kind of thing. Now we're getting quite a lot of horror movies down the road, kind of thing. So I don't know how that's going to pan out. I don't know if we're going from if the audience are going from yeah, I want to feel good about myself and I want to kind of express and feel a little bit nicer, and then I kind of want to be scared crapless, you know. So
Well, one of our fine live commenters, and hey Brian, has called out something that we already had on our list to talk about. So I guess it's going to get moved up, and that is that the movies we're talking about that are part of this surprise wave that's come back to save the box office. They're all sequels or prequels in one of the cases. I think that plays into the point you were just making. I think what people are looking for right now is not taking so many chances. I think people are looking for familiarity, and that's what's helping the franchises capture so many people's attention and imagination.
yeah, I agree. I agree, and it's kind of one of those funny things where we've talked previously about like the reason we all complain about sequels and prequels, and then we spend a lot of money. I think this is a perfect example of that kind of like causality,
Yep.
kind of thing. Because as you've talked before, A Quiet Place, which is a returning movie, in a franchise, which is actually obviously it's a prequel of A Quiet Place One and A Quiet Place Two, kind of thing, which is an interesting choice because we've already seen a prequel kind of screw up at the box office, which is Furioso,
Yep.
and but it's an interesting choice to kind of go do another prequel, release another prequel at this point. So
And I think everybody's taking weird chances. Like we can't not mention very briefly Kevin Costner and Horizon, and whatever's going to happen with Horizon Part Two, who knows? There's definitely a video on that somewhere, Paul. By the end of this year, we may well be doing a whole video series on what the hell happened there.
yeah,
But with A Quiet Place, I think it's particularly striking that it did well. For number one, even though it's part of a franchise, it's the third movie in a franchise. It's a prequel. It doesn't have any of the main original cast or original stars. It is, how should I put this? It is clearly not just a tension movie in its trailer compared to, the previous movies, which were all, you're not going to see the monsters very often. There's going to be a lot of tension and whispering. Whereas in this one, they're like, hey, look at the monsters flailing up Fifth Avenue and climbing skyscrapers like King Kong. And the other, like the big elephant in the room for The Quiet Place, not just the big stars, the kind of lack of whatever else. Horror movies and that's what it originally started out as, so to speak, like an almost horror franchise. They have a natural enemy, and that is that they're not a family movie. Like, look at everything else that has really done well overall, and it tends to be family movies. You make more money when people can bring their kids. It's very difficult to make money in horror movies at the same scale. It's usually why they don't have as big a budget.
Yeah, because that's a really good factor in the sense of like the why a few of these movies have come back or have like looked like they're kind of bringing numbers back to the box office is that their audience is such a wider net than like their target audience is so wider compared to the rest of the movies that have come out. Fall Guys is not targeted towards a it's not targeted towards the family. It is targeted towards old school fans and also comedy and action like lovers, kind of thing. But it's not typically a family targeted film, which
No.
is neither is Furioso. Civil War isn't either, kind of thing. Madam Web is and like is weirdly enough, I guess, because it's the Sony kind of Venom universe kind of thing, I guess. Is
Can
it?
we all just admit that it was some sort of elaborate practical joke, though, and it was aimed at nothing but being a footnote in history in a comedic sense. It was like, let's make sure Morbius isn't remembered. Let's make something worse.
I'm hoping that it's the opposite of that thought, though. I'm hoping that if someone went in and went, "Do you know how memey, like, uh, Morbius is? Maybe we should just do that again." Like with some what other front? Because we're gonna bring in Craven soon. Yeah, so
I was
that's
going to say they'll complete the trilogy with Craven.
yeah, yeah. Like so they were just like, let's squeeze in another one, kind of thing. I'm hoping that someone there was just like, yeah, let's do that. Kind of thing. So yeah, so we got a couple of factors. The current films that are currently doing well are familiar sequels, prequels, which is their target audience or target demographic is a little bit of a wider net, kind of thing. We also should have a lower expectation of the current box office kind of capabilities because of the aftershock of the strikes, kind of thing, which is an interesting topic in itself of kind of where would we have been if the strikes had been able to end sooner or anything like that. Would we be in a better recovery thing? um so like it's an interesting factor. But I don't think so. Like another one of these films that have kind of come out of the blue, which I think is also like also perfectly kind of emphasizes the point of the family movie, is If. Because If has come
Hmm,
out of the blue. It's only recently got knocked off the top 10, thanks to A Quiet Place. But
there you go.
it meant that the last couple of films, if I get this timing right, so
Good summer
the
for Krasinski.
the last 11 films, which is so this is a bit dated right now, kind of thing, but it means that like Inside Out 2 is smashing the box office. Dune Part 2, which is interesting enough, not doing as well as it, like, as we thought it might do, 1 billion as well, but it's still going up. Godzilla, Kung Fu Panda, King of the, like, all these kind of films. Um but like it meant that five, six, seven of the films, like if we go one, two, three films on this, four films on this list are essentially not family orientated, kind of
Yeah.
thing. And the rest of them are, because Ghostbusters is a family movie. It
Oh yeah,
as much as the things
100%.
Garfield as well, kind of thing. It's in the top 10, but once again, we have to lower the expectations of how the box office is doing,
There's
kind
a
of
lot
thing.
of stuff that wouldn't normally make this top 10 at this time of year.
Yeah,
That's actually an indicator that there was something weird. Something weird was happening this year for sure.
yeah, and If is the only one that's not it's not a prequel and it's not a sequel,
Oh,
and
it's an original. Yeah,
yeah,
it's
but it
truly an
holds
original in that respect.
but it holds the factors of being targeted towards families, kind of thing. And also, I think it also has the Ryan Reynolds effect,
Oh
which
yeah.
I think Deadpool and Wolverine has really pushed his stock up higher than when a movie with him in it.
Yeah.
pushed by John Krasinski, who A Quiet Places, he wrote Quiet Place. Like, I think it's this weird kind of like self-fulfilling loop prophecy kind of thing.
Yeah, and Emily Blunt could go home after Fall Guy not doing brilliantly and say, I don't know how much we're going to get in residuals from this movie. And Krasinski would have been able to look across the room and go, "Don't worry, I've got us this year," because he's having a heck of a year so far. But Paul, big, 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 big underestimated factor in all this. Everybody always forgets to look out their window. Why is it called the summer blockbuster season? Because it's summer. What is so special? Why are there so many bums in seats? It's not just that kids are off school. It is family time. It's holiday time. It's when people get together. It's when they will go and look for activities to do together. And particularly, and not a fan of global warming at all, but we might be starting to thank global warming from a box office point of view. If you're roasting and your whole family is melting and they're thinking, right, we've got to go out and do something together today, or else we're all going to kill each other in the house. Um, a lot of things are going to be too hot to do. The idea of a nice dark room with air conditioning in an air conditioned building that will take 3.5 to maybe 4 hours of your kids' time between getting there and having fun beforehand, watching the movie, maybe grabbing the burger or whatever after doing dinner. It's a godsend for a lot of people in a lot of places right now. Getting the hell out of the heat is actually a factor that's helping the cinema.
Yeah, I totally agree that there is a it's the summer holidays or summer break kind of thing, so there is a lot more activity, which is the target audience for a lot of these movies have been family, so and there's a lot more time nowadays, like at this point in the year, for families to go to the cinema, so it's kind of like an easy pitch, I guess, kind of
Yeah.
thing of being able to kind of go, well, you're not like your kids aren't in school, you're not really knowing what to do with them every hour of every single day, so here's a bunch of like kids movies that should entertain them for quite a while. And also a lot of these movies are not going on to streaming services as quickly as they probably should, or as they would have generally been doing, which is another
Yeah.
factor in the sense of like you have to wait a considerable longer amount of time before these go onto streaming services. So why not get into the cinema and watch these movies, kind of thing.
Yeah. And
Um,
I should also point out that weather works both ways. For anybody in Ireland right now who's shouting at me, going, "What heat are you talking about? It's miserable outside." Well, if you want to go to the park and play ball with your kids, that's ruined by 100-degree heat. It's also ruined by 100% precipitation and rain. So either end of the weather extremes kind of ruins the day and makes you want to take the kids inside. And the cinema is a great option, particularly. And the more kids you have to corral on a day, the more the cinema starts making sense.
it really does. Yeah, it's been raining for the last 2 days here. Today's the first dry day. Um,
Kind of.
yeah. So, which is yeah, we're gonna go to a break, our general break. Which when we come back, I have a question, which is, what do you think is bringing the box off? So first question is, what do you think? Is the box office back, or is it just some blip, kind of thing? We'll answer that question, which is on our return. See you in a couple of seconds. Hey, we're back. Which is yeah, there's some interesting. So our question was: is the box office back, or is this some kind of like blip in the matrix, kind of thing? If anyone wants to kind of tell us their views on those two points, please let us know.
And we should, and I think somebody is actually already commented the new Deadpool movie. And thanks, Brian. New Deadpool movie will surely pull in huge numbers. I was about to say, with the exception of Deadpool, because I think no matter what year, it could have come out in the middle of COVID at this point. It would have changed the darkest timeline. People would have gone and seen it one person at a time in a theater on their own for 24 hours a day. I think excluding it, I'm wondering if people think that the box office is back. Because is it going to just overhype things and suck up everybody's enthusiasm and be a crescendo that then there'll be a massive fall off after? I think that'll be interesting to see.
I agree. I think because I don't think we've had a blockbuster. I don't think we've had our summer blockbuster. I think Deadpool and Wolverine is going to be it. You know,
Mm.
I think that's
And
the kind of
how?
thing. Yeah, so I kind of like think that even because if you look at the last couple of years, we've always had a blockbuster movie. Like we've all been able to pick out one blockbuster movie throughout the out the last couple of years, kind of thing. And I think Deadpool and Wolverine's going to be that one. And the reason I'm saying that is because it's always the one that kind of breaks the mold of what currently the trend is going on, kind of thing. So like Deadpool and Wolverine is such an event movie
Yeah.
that's going on that I think we can't take it as any way indicative of what's going to be going on in the future. I do think that we do have several horror movies that are coming out. Maxine is out now.
Hmm.
Long Legs, which is a new slasher movie, which is going to be out as well.
A lot of
Which
buzz
is
for that. A lot of buzz for that.
yeah, kind of thing. I think that they're also going to be very helpful indicators of whether the movie, because as Brian said, the horrors don't tend to do well in the box office.
No.
But I think that if they do above average of what they would normally do at the box office, I think we can kind of tell a good point of that. It's just like, are people starved for movies that even horror movies are like getting a boost within the thing?
And there's a question I have for you, Paul. I think we've got to redefine what doing well in the box office means. Because I think a lot of horror movies do really well in the box office. It's just people see like Inside Out 2, started it, never mind the amount of money it was making, it started showing up on the lists of will it be one of the fastest movies of all time to reach 1 billion? It's like how short an amount of time it can make insane amounts of money. Whereas horror movies, an awful lot of them do well, but you just have to set them on that level playing field for a horror movie. And I don't mean for the genre as much as what we previously talked about. It's accessible to a smaller group of people just by virtue of the fact that it's got an age limit. And then there is the genre side of stuff. In most cases, and I know there are some exceptions where people have gone completely nuts and made extremely expensive horror movies, but the budgets reflect that. And I say, pound for pound percentage gain, I think horror movies have been outperforming everything bar Marvel and the odd one or two Ken Barbenheimer moments for like the last 3, 4 years since the return from the Darkest Timeline. I'm really, it sounds weird because I'm not a horror guy, but it's like I'm proud of my horror friends. I'm really proud that so many movies have been punching way above their weight. It's like Evil Dead Rise, was that what it was called?
Yeah.
Like that was a huge hit last year proportionally.
Hmm.
I'm really happy for horror movie fans that the quality seems to be going up. The fans seem to be supporting it. I don't care if they don't show up in the top 10 end of year grosses.
Hmm.
I think horror movies are doing quite well, and I'm down with that.
Yeah, I think if you were to compare it to as a percentile of of their like budget to profit kind of thing, I think that a lot of horror movies have been doing quite a lot better than, or the percentage of 10 horror movies versus 10 kind of like mixed genre movies. I do think that the 10 horror movies have obviously doing a considerable lot better percentage wise, but obviously they've got smaller budgets, their target audience is smaller, and as you say, kind of thing. It's just that there's two movies that are kind of Maxine, which is the third in the X Pearl kind of saga.
Yeah,
So it was quite anticipated. And then Long Legs, which is this kind of new slasher serial killer movie that's coming out, is kind of had big kind of waves of PR
Buzz.
and kind of yeah.
Yeah.
So like I'm kind of like looking at them kind of going, how well are they gonna do? As you say, in perspective of what they would normally do kind of thing. And I think I am sorry to say that I have also seen that Maxine hasn't done as well as it probably should have, kind of thing. But
I think, it's one of those things. I think Mia Goth, and I cannot remember the director's name right now. I think they can be proud of themselves for creating a modern trilogy of that style at all. In the kind of the like jointed, disjointed way that it's been done. I think it's a really interesting case of modern cinema success. It's kind of up there with Eggers doing films like, The Witch and The Northman and stuff. There's a it's that A24 effect just without A24
Yeah.
of I'm happy to see people are out there pushing new things in old genres.
Yeah, I definitely agree on the
Ty
kind of
West,
like
thank you.
it's
Sorry.
the expanse of it, you know. Um, Another thing that I want to talk about, which is kind of my, I guess, my last point, and then we can kind of discuss more openly about everything going on, is the streaming wars. We've covered these quite a bit, which because I think that streaming services are currently stagnating. There hasn't been really anything that's been massive kind of pull to.
Mhm.
There hasn't been, to me, there hasn't been like a Stranger Things or a, Ted Lasso or anything that's pulled quite a large. There's been Bridgerton, but it's once again, it's such a, it's already a focused target audience kind of thing,
Yeah,
that because like The Bear as
interesting.
well on Disney, Wexham, like there's, I haven't heard of anything that's really pulled the same kind of like
Nothing
large.
that kind of water cooler top end Stranger Things, the original Game of Thrones kind of buzz, your Breaking Bad days, the real, whether it be cable TV or streaming, those real marquee, oh my God, that's a new thing and it's blowing everybody away.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm trying to think of one. There must be one. I just can't think of it.
because The Boys this year
Hmm.
has had,
Season four. That's getting
yeah,
around a bit.
but it has there's it's essentially the critiques are split kind of thing.
Mhm.
It's a very kind of like, I guess, I'm not gonna a very mixed reception of that genre, or of that fourth season. I also think that the House of Dragons has also gotten slightly a mixed obsession, or like reception as well. Because they were the two that I was I was figuring that they might be the kind of like, as you, water cooler TV movie or TV show, kind of thing.
Yeah, but they're also not old, but they're established at this point. I think you make a great point that there's nothing that I can think of that is close to a first season walk away success. Like,
Mm.
and I mean a true first season. Like, don't get me wrong, The Bear and things like that have done amazingly well and really have grabbed people's attention. But you've got many more red notices, Grey Men, and Axel F's happening than you do Stranger Things is Stranger
Yeah,
Thing Eyes
Stranger Things.
things.
Um, like maybe just Stranger. It's like Lego. Lego's the plural as well.
Here you go,
Um,
Stranger Thing.
yeah, because so that's my interesting point. Is this like, this feels like the streaming services have now stagnated. We've talked about how they've also how the which is, I guess, the investment into streaming services has not gone as well as most of the companies who are backing them have kind of wanted. Even so, that because like Max and Paramount are even thinking of, I think, is it
Yep.
Max and Paramount are thinking of
Yeah.
joining forces.
Is it, yeah, Max and Paramount and Peacock and somebody else? Disney was going to go with somebody. Max was going to go with somebody. They're all talking about getting together. Eventually, it's going to be bundles of bundles. Like, they're going to be, you'll be bundling two or three services, and then you'll be able to bundle two of the two bundles to get six services. It's weird. It's as though, Paul, we predicted it a few years ago that people better be careful how cavalier they are about just wading into the streaming war stuff and thinking there's an endless fountain of money. Because we both work in business. You're only good next year if you beat last year. Growth is what, it's not about making money because they make money. It's
Mm.
about growth. Once you're profitable, that's not good enough. Everybody thinks, oh, get a business. Once it's profitable, why are they worried? Are you more profitable than yesterday? And it's very hard with a finite number of people on the planet to keep growing and growing and growing indefinitely, especially when you crowd the market by everybody having their own streaming service, with the exception of Sony, who are thinking of buying one.
Yes, yeah. See, that's been the interesting kind of, I guess, outlier is the fact that they've decided to stay out of the streaming wars as much as possible. Even going as far as buying theaters, kind of thing, as a kind of a different, I guess, way of
What are you
going
up to,
about
Sony?
things.
What are you up to? We're watching you, okay? Just so you know, eyes on you. Don't be at it now. Be good.
So like yeah, so this is because this is been the and as we said, those four movies and a few others who are coming, which are coming out soon, um, are not going onto streaming services within the 6 weeks or 8 weeks that they generally have in the past. So it's kind of interesting to think that we're kind of like, is it that the streaming services are just stagnating, that people are going back to the cinema, um, or is it just that at current kind of levels, no one is staying at home? Um, so just we have to think about. We'll have to, obviously we're going to have to look at the whole year as a whole, and we're currently in kind of very tricky months, I guess.
Can I give you my very short answer to that?
Hmm.
I think the the people behind all this have realized that it's that Star Wars moment. There is another. And that other is, hey, we might be screwing cinemas over for our streaming services. Hey, we might be putting too many of our eggs in streaming service baskets. I think what they've realized through their trial and error and doing really silly things, there's money to be made in premium video on demand because things come out of cinemas and don't go straight onto streaming. But the window, and it's been moving around as though people are experimenting, the window for movies to show up on premium rental, what used to be DVD or VHS. The idea that you're now renting for a couple of bucks. Talking to a good friend the other day, they're like, "Oh yeah, I haven't seen that, but I might actually watch it. I'll rent it or I'll buy it online or rent it. It'll be $5." You're like, ah, because what the people making the movie are not necessarily getting back from the streaming service is the big movie that they've had in the cinema. Are they really getting new subscribers? Are they getting subscriber growth? Are they stopping churn? Because it takes so many movies and TV shows and promotions and buzz. There's so many factors that I think they've realized there's a little pit stop along the way to make a little bit of that extra bread that they're no longer making off physical media and things like that.
That's a really interesting point because originally when Disney Plus came out, they had that grace period where you essentially could, because like I remember when Mulan came out, the live action version of Mulan, you could buy it to watch it sooner. You had to
Yep.
pay to watch it sooner, and yeah, we haven't seen that model kind of being
They're all
widespread.
they're all trying it out right now.
Yeah,
There's they're all trying it in different ways, different timelines, different cadences. Um, the Fall Guy, after its flop, it showed up on premium VOD very quickly. I'm fairly sure Kevin Costner should be looking at a streaming PVOD
that's
shelf very soon for all of his Horizon movies because they may all just get dumped there. So yeah, it's an interesting one. It is an interesting one.
so. I guess because yeah, so we've gone through essentially the demographic that these target. The type of movies, the timing, kind of what the wider industry is kind of going through or has gone through, kind of thing. So I guess this is the point of kind of going, what do you think? Because I think that I don't think this is a recovery. I don't think it's a recovery in the box office. What I think it is essentially showing the out of touchness of what the audience is currently craving, kind of thing, which is more feel good kind of escapism. Because as we've seen in the past, cinema tickets have been sold more during depressions. So during
Mhm.
low terms in the economy and just the overall societal feeling of doom and gloom, we've seen ticket prices like explode. And that's
People
because
need
people,
hope.
yeah, and they want to escape as well, kind of thing. Are we seeing a little bit of that kind of thing? That's what I think. I think that with these films coming out, and they're all like a lot of them are feel good movies. I think that this is what the audience is craving, kind of thing. That's what I think.
It's, you know what? I'm going to go with you. I'll partially go with you on that because I think it, hey, everybody, no matter where you are right now, it's an election year. Yes, everybody in America is aware of that, but the rest of the world is pretty much doing an election year one way or the other right now. And that's created a certain amount of toxicity and upset and people, people not getting along too well. It's pretty tense out there. So yeah, I'm with you. I think that could be part of it too. It's hit a bit of a crescendo of negativity, and the cinema is there, particularly things like Inside Out. I think that's a big factor in why people wanted to go and get in touch with their feelings, quite literally
Yeah.
have someone help them get in touch with their feelings. Um, but yeah, Paul, I'm going to say it's not a comeback because I don't think it was ever a go away. I think there was a wave, and this is the water resettling. I think it'll be much more interesting to your point, to your second point, which is, are they out of touch? I think Gladiator 2 is going to be a weather vane to see what way the wind is blowing. I saw that trailer the other day. I am still not excited about that movie. Maybe maybe I'm just not the right person for it because there's an old Irish joke here that every man of a certain age here set their lives on one of two films. They're either, what's your favorite film? It's either Gladiator or Shawshank Redemption. They were the only two answers that anybody gave for about 10 years. I I don't know. Is Gladiator 2 going to be more proof that making things like that is out of touch, or is it going to be a huge, huge success? I think that one I'm interested in seeing how it turns out. Because by then, I think most of the waves in the cinema economics will have settled. And I think we'll then be able to see your point of that and a few other movies, not exactly like it, but a few other movies of different types. I think we'll be able to tell if maybe they've moved their finger and they're missing the pulse. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting second half of 2024.
I definitely agree. I definitely agree that us and a lot of YouTubers, a lot of critics, and a lot of movie kind of people are saying that the box office is back. I think it's too early to tell. This could be the step in the right direction. It also could be just a dip or raise of the waters kind of thing. And I definitely think that we have to look for the rest of the year to see how this settles, kind of thing. And I do think also, yeah, Gladiators 2 is a weird going to be a beacon within kind of guessing what people want because it looks unusual.
Mm.
It because it looks very similar to the first one, and I don't know if we've asked for more of that, kind of thing. So I don't know. Did you hear about the other script that was there? It was going to be that Maximus gets resurrected, and it goes a little bit more.
He gets released from hell or something.
Yeah, yeah, that he like
Yeah.
there's a resurrection kind of thing, and man, if they did that, I would have
But
been
how
all
could you
over.
do that? Because Russell Crowe only plays exorcist priests now. So would he
Yeah,
have to
that
show up
is
as an
also
exorcist priest
he.
and like vanquish himself then?
Yeah, because the new exorcism film, which I think he actually plays a priest,
Yes.
play like he sorry
Yeah.
he's an actor who plays a priest, and then
Yep.
he is an actor who played a priest, and it's so
If it ain't got a
meta that
collar,
he's
you don't got a holler. He is
yeah
not doing anything unless he's playing a priest lately.
he's gone
So
weirdly
yeah,
meta.
multiplicity with multiplicity gladiator with the Pope's exorcist. It would have been weird.
Yeah. I think to answer your question, I think the Gladiator 2 is out in is it
Oh,
September?
Brian asked. Yeah, it's a couple of months.
Yeah,
I think it's
I think it's September.
end of August, September.
Yeah, I think it's the end of the I think it's going to be the end of the month blockbuster. The end of the
Yeah,
summer blockbuster kind of thing.
yeah.
Um but yeah, so which is with on that note, what do you guys think? Do you think this is the returning of the box office, which is and why? Also, what do you think of the movies that have come out recently that have really kind of surged back some of the audience? Are you in favor of them? Are you against them? I can tell you about Quiet Place 2 tomorrow, or A Quiet Place 3
Are you
tomorrow.
going to get to go and see it? Oh, good,
Yeah.
good. Let me know. Let me know. I got family stuff, so no cinema for me this weekend.
Oh.
Boo. But it gives me a chance to catch up on all the streaming flops that they're making. Well, Paul, with that said, I want to say a big shout out, big thank you to all our commenters. If you're watching this in future times, get down there, comment. We still want to hear from you. We read every single comment. Like, share, subscribe, all the good YouTube bits and pieces. And if you want to go and follow someone brilliant on Twitter, follow Brian. Best music Twitter out there. Absolute legend. Too much football for my liking too, but lots of excellent music.
And on that note, thanks very much for watching. We will be back same time next week. I've been Paul.
And I've been Patrick.
And we've been HearUsOut. Bye bye.
See ya.